I think it was just a wonderful opportunity to record the London theatres as they stand in the 21st century, and to delve behind the scenes and show the dressing rooms and the fly floors and all the other bits and pieces that go on behind that the public don't see.
Absolutely, you get a real tour of what happens backstage as well as in front. How difficult was it picking those that you included?
Well, I think it's a decision of what theatres we liked and what we thought were important. But the thing is, we're both Londoners. It's part of our fabric, part of our history, part of our culture. So whether it's the grand old ladies of Drury Lane or the Haymarket, or the young upstarts of the Young Vic and the Almeida in Islington, we wanted to incorporate all that into the book and show a picture of the city through its theatre architecture and its life, as it were, both backstage, front of house, and also has a great advantage. There's no people in it, and there's no shows going on. And I spent my life going to London theatres, and I never stopped and looked properly. And this book, I hope, will help them, the audiences that we have, go to the theatre and look at where they're going.
Well, it's divided into sections. Take us through the journey that you take readers on in this.
Well, that's a difficult question. I think the thing that I wanted to do, I'd been to most of these theatres over the years and seen hundreds of shows, but I'd never really taken in the beauty of them. And being able to have the run of them and actually see the ceilings and the royal boxes, the fascinating things like that, and some of the peculiar contraptions behind stages as well.
Yeah, Peter got some great pictures of the understage wooden scenery from the Victorian era in one or two of the theatres. The Her Majesty's, for instance, where Phantom of the Opera has been for 30 years, has the most important preserved Victorian understage scenery, and some of it's still usable and still used. And so nobody's seen this, really. So it's good to have that. And the same as he says for the fly floors, where they pull the scenery up and all the technical stuff goes on. So we got up there, down there, in the stalls, and around the front and everything. And it was a wonderful experience.
We were obviously given fantastic access, but how difficult was it capturing some of those pictures? Were there challenges involved?
Not really. They were very generous with their help. There were odd things like the Sam Wanamaker Theatre next to the Globe, which is candlelit. So having 100 plus candles lit and fitting in with the shows that were on there was quite difficult. That's an interesting place because it had to be auditioned by the insurance company and the London Fire Brigade when it was being built.
And as well as all of these amazing historical buildings, you've also filled it with anecdotes and stories. How did you go about getting those? Was it about interviewing some of the people, I suppose, who've been to these theatres?
Well, I've been a theatre critic for about 45 years. So I started when I was 2 years old, basically. And a lot of these stories and personalities are part of my life. And they accrete to the theatre buildings. You know, the theatre has these ghosts in them, has these stories, has these performances. And so whenever I go to a theatre like the Palladium, I see everything I saw there before, even though I'm watching the show today. And so they carry their history with them. The other thing I think we found was that a lot of the theatres have been rebuilt several times because they all burnt down in the 18th and 19th centuries. So the Haymarket, for instance, or the Drury Lane, that's the full theatre on the same site. So it's a very good story to tell. And I personally enjoyed telling the history of that, and Peter's pictures show where we've arrived at.
What were the most surprising aspects that you learned through doing this journey?
Things like Wilton's Music Hall, which is the oldest music hall in the world, and it has no right to exist, and it's been crafted and renovated in a beautiful way with all the bare brickwork showing, and it's an active theatre, and it's just wonderful that it's survived. That's the kind of thing. And we have Alexandra Palace, which is now being put together again with lottery money, but that was in a terrible state. That was just when I was there, they didn't seem to know whether the ceiling or the floor were safe, which was kind of an interesting place to photograph.
And you managed to get Mark Rylance to do the foreword to this, and he explains the point of view from an acting perspective and how the actor has a relationship with these venues as well. Do you think we take a lot of them for granted because we have so many in the capital?
No, I think the more the merrier. It's fantastic they survive. Mark Rylance writing the foreword for us was just brilliant. I'd been very happy with a couple of paragraphs, but he's written the most wonderful piece about the experience and the interaction between the actor and the stage.
What he meant is this great circle that's completed between the play or the musical or the audience and the theatre. And the great thing about the Victorian and Edwardian theatres that we've highlighted is there is this circumference, there is this joining up of all the elements in it. And no studio theatre or warehouse theatre does that. And I think in the last 20, 30 years, where there's been this amazing restoration of the West End theatres and the great theatres, and the Drury Lane is about to be refurbished for £6 million by a brilliant architect, it proves that this is the best place where theatre works. You could have all sorts of other things, experimental, submersive, participatory theatre, but these theatres were designed almost foolproof to the event of theatre, and they join the actor and the audience in an extraordinary way, and that's what Mark Rylance has added to our book.